Gargoyles was an animated series that was a mixture of fantasy and action. It was about a species of nocturnal creatures known as gargoyles that turned to stone during the day when the sun went up. They were medieval creatures who spent 1,000 years in an enchanted state before reawakening in the modern-day New York City. The series featured famous and amazing names like Keith David, Bill Fagerbakke, Marina Sirtis, and many others that we shall talk about. With 3 seasons released from 1994 to 1996, today we shall get to look at all the gargoyles and people that featured in the show. The leader of the gargoyles was called Goliath. He was bigger than his crew and was a strong and intelligent warrior. He was mostly calm and gentle and always wanted the best for his clan in a world that was basically new to him. He always avoided being detected by human beings because he knew that humans were dangerous and would destroy his species for being unique. But his secret did not last, as he was identified by a policewoman known as Elisa Mazza. Goliath had a short temper when things went astray, and this made him one of the most dangerous and mightiest warriors alive. And after Elisa figured him out, she promised to protect him and his clan from people, and she even went on and fell in love with Goliath in the final season. This beast of a creature was voiced by Keith David, who is an American actor and voice actor. He has a very deep voice which he has used in over 400 roles, and some other characters he voiced include the Flame King in Adventure Time, Husk in Hazbin Hotel of 2024, and also Sergeant Foley in Call of Duty Modern Warfare game of 2009. Elisa Mazza was a detective in New York Police Department and the only human who joined the gargoyle team-up. Her life was basically normal until she found out that gargoyles really did exist. She was first shocked to see Goliath as a real-life gargoyle, but she later learnt that he and his clan were not harmful to the people in any way. She began to trust them and even caught feelings for Goliath, and this made her to focus more on protecting the gargoyles during the day when they turned to stone. She lived with her pet cat in a top-level apartment where some of the gargoyles visited her during the night. She was an African-American woman who was one of the bravest people in the show, and was also a kind-hearted person to both the gargoyles and the people in general. She was voiced by Sally Richardson, who is an American actress and a television director. She is an actress who is mostly known for her role as Allison Blake in Eureka of 2006, and has been in the acting arena since 1991. She now has been married since 2002, and is blessed with a daughter and a son. A man named David Zanatos was the founder and the CEO of Zanatos Enterprises. He was a multi-billionaire and a member of the Illuminati, and was actually the one who awoke the gargoyles from the curse that was laid 1,000 years ago. He behaved like Lex Luthor from DC Comics, and was a man with mysterious intentions throughout the show. The gargoyles lived under his protection and was also the one who provided things like food and other materials to them. The only clear motive with Zanatos was that he was very obsessed with immortality, and everything he did revolved around it. As I said, he was extremely rich, but the only thing he didn't have was time to enjoy his wealth. The only way to describe him is confusing, because he sometimes helped the gargoyles while sometimes he fought against them and the police department. This guy was voiced by Jonathan Frakes, who is another American actor and director. He portrayed the role of William Riker in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and has also appeared in other Star Trek films such as Strange New Worlds and Picard. Brooklyn was a gargoyle and the second in command of the clan after Goliath. He had red skin and a long beak-like mouth, and also his hair was kind of white with 2 horns sticking out of his forehead. Just like his leader Goliath, Brooklyn had a short temper, and was more reckless and assertive than any other gargoyle. He was someone who was mostly focused on his duties as a leader, and he always took over when Goliath was in other missions. He was also seen appreciating things like motorcycles and sunglasses, and was always ready to try something new in his new generation of life. Voiced by Jeff Bennett, who is an iconic voice actor. He has been married for more than 35 years, and he also voiced Clank in Tinkerbell of 2008. Hudson was another gargoyle and the founding member of the Manhattan Clan. He was Goliath's mentor and the previous leader of the entire Wyvern clan 1,000 years ago. Although he was the oldest gargoyle in the group, he was the wisest and the most experienced in terms of war and plans. He retired his leadership after being blinded in the left eye during battle, and was now seen directing and advising Goliath on what to do as a leader. And just like the rest of his fellow gargoyles, Hudson had the ability to glide using his wings. He had a prehensile tail and also claws that could tear through solid steel. His voice came from the late Edward Asner, who was an American actor and distinguished voice actor. Some of his great works were in Spider-Man the Animated Series, where he voiced Jonah Jameson, up of 2009 voicing Carl Fredricksen, and also in the Boondocks voicing Ed Wunkler Sr. from 2005 to 2014. He was a legend who unfortunately passed away on the 29th of August, 2021 at the age of 91 years old. Lexington was one of the gargoyles in the Manhattan clan. He was the smallest member, and was known for his large eyes and rauchy voice. His wings were also unique as they were attached to his arms in a web-like structure. He was the only gargoyle who showed a deep understanding of the science behind high-tech machines like motorcycles, and was very interested in reading books and learning something new each night. Throughout the show, he operated complex things like CCTV cameras, weapons, and other machines that even Goliath couldn't comprehend. He was basically the technical specialist in the team, and he proved to be a better engineer than most engineers that we have today. He was a tiny gargoyle voiced by Tom Adcox Hernandez, who was an American actor that you'd probably recognize for voicing Clarion on the Young Justice series. He also voiced Flint in Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure of 2009. Bronx was a gargoyle beast and a loyal member of the Manhattan clan. He was not necessarily a gargoyle, but was more of a beast resembling a dog. He had a mastiff-like build about the size of a young calf, and was only known to communicate with howls and growls to his clan members. He hanged around Hudson most of the time, and was just a fierce and formidable fighter when there was an emergency. The sounds he produced were made by the great Frank Welker, who is an American voice actor that mostly specializes in vocalizing beasts and monsters in animation movies and horror films. And another gargoyle was Coldstone. His real name was Othello, and he was once a member of the Wyvern clan thousands of years ago, long after the gargoyles were shattered by the Vikings during their midday slumber. He was left into pieces and was later rebuilt as an android along with fragments of 2 other clan members. He first appeared to be very negative and cold even to his fellow gargoyle species. But his intentions later changed, and he became a very caring and diligent fella with a nice heart and laid-back personality. He was voiced by Michael Dorn, who is an American actor most notably seen in the Star Trek franchise as Worf. He recently also voiced Battle Beast in the Invincible series of 2021. Broadway was a gargoyle and the member of the Manhattan clan, and was the only member who lost his eyesight in the resistance against Xanatos. But before all this, Broadway was a gargoyle who liked the Western culture and also loved cooking for the others. He was a good friend to Elisa Mazza, and even though he accidentally dropped her in the kitchen using her own weapon, he was the only gargoyle who hanged around Elisa's place, even when she was not home. After a new gargoyle was introduced to the clan, Broadway fell in love with her, and they continued their relationship to the end of the movie. He was voiced by Bill Fagerbakke. Bill is mostly recognized for voicing Patrick in SpongeBob SquarePants, and also played the role of Marvin on How I Met Your Mother for 12 episodes. He now has 2 daughters, and one of them is an actor just like him. Demona was an immortal gargoyle who was once a member of the Wyvern clan. She was among the co-conspirators in the Wyvern massacre, and she blamed the humans for all her misfortunes, making her spend the last 1,000 years seeking to exterminate them. And in the future, she became Manhattan's clan worst enemy and possibly the most dangerous gargoyle in the world. She lived alone for 1,000 years, and that kind of loneliness created a very bitter villain who hated anyone and everyone. She worked so hard in trying to exterminate the human species, and she clashed with Elisa Mazza and the gargoyles in the whole series. Voiced by Marina Sirtis, who is an English-American actress. She is also a Star Trek legend who played the role of Deanna Troi for more than 20 years. She got married in 1992 to a rock guitarist who sadly passed away in his sleep in 2019, and she now lives a private life in London. Angela was a gargoyle who was the newest member of the Manhattan clan. She initially belonged to the Avalon clan, and she was the one who fell in love with Broadway. Even after being brought up in a fairly peaceful and sheltered lifestyle, Angela grew up to be a cunning and perceptive warrior with a raging temper just like Goliath. She was brought up alongside humans, and was the only gargoyle who truly loved the human species since a very long time ago. She was very trusting and kind and a girl with a good judge of character. She was the daughter of Demona and Goliath, and she took her father's side in his attempts to save humankind from her mother. It was Bridget Bacco who voiced her. She is a Canadian actress and producer who mostly does skits and comedies. Being active since 1989, she now writes scripts for movies and directs Hallmark shows. And finally, a doctor called Anton Severius. He was a brilliant and immortal geneticist who initially worked for Cyberbiotics before working for Xanatos Enterprises. He crossed paths with the gargoyles for creating multiple monstrosities with weird abilities, and was just a stereotypical mad scientist who wanted to dominate the medical field as the one. And even with his talents, Severius was a coward, and he immediately pled for his life when he got cornered by his ops. He was voiced by Tim Curry, who is an English actor and singer, and the only movie I remember him in was Home Alone, where he played the role of the concierge.